Kingcayne.
Alright, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, this game is kind of choppy a bit, but I think we can stream it. Let's see what happens. So today's Gems and Gaming is about there being a blessing in every lesson. I don't know how often you might have heard that. I heard that a lot growing up. That's something my bishop would always say, always talk about. So, for me, like, it's obvious. It's very clear. It's very clear that is the case. But for a lot of people, they don't look at it that way. Typically, when something happens, they look at it like, oh my God, this is the worst situation, the worst scenario. But for me, that's not how I personally take it. For example, I talk a little bit how I grew up. I grew up in College Park. It's a city here in Georgia or next to Atlanta. I'm also new to this game, so that shocked me a bit. I never saw that before. But it's not. It was an interesting upbringing for sure. It definitely wasn't. Everything wasn't easy. It's not a place I would recommend people go for vacation. But it was how I grew up, and I wouldn't change it for anything. That being said, there are a lot of things that would happen, and I just wouldn't understand. I'd just be like, yo, why is this happening? When you growing up, you think it's just happening to you. You feel like, something bad happens, it's happening to you, right? Instead of thinking it like that, how about the perspective that it's happening for you, right? Like, thinking of it that it's happening for you is a lot better, because then you can start to understand that, okay, everything happens for a reason. And what can I learn from it? I might have touched on that concept before in the previous Gems in Gaming, but like, what can I learn from this scenario instead of feeling like, oh, woe is me, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? Like, what is this happening for? Like, what is the reason? And it's always a way to, think of it like, there's something to learn. If you don't approach it as though there's something to learn, then what's the point of anything ever? Right? At least that's my perspective. So, like I said, I grew up pretty interesting area, but I went to school in Roswell, Georgia, which is in Atlanta. Traffic on a school bus is 2 hours away. So, when certain things would happen, I would be really really just bothered and discouraged by those certain things. And I always, felt like a victim. My scenario didn't really change until I reshaped my perspective of situations. So now, instead of looking at it like, oh my God, my life sucks, well, it's me, I'm looking at it like, all right, I have to improve. There's a way I can improve. How can I improve from it? So in Roswell, there is a completely different culture, a completely different environment than the city that I grew up. So, I was struggling in said environment. I was struggling trying to figure out, the best way to fit in. I was struggling trying to figure out how to make friends. I was struggling how to figure out, just a lot of different things. Like, it wasn't easy. I'll say it like that. So as I'm struggling trying to figure out certain things, every single week or so, I would come home all discouraged, all upset, and I just be like, crying, bro, like telling my mom, like, yo, like, this is rough. Like, I hate it. Like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to, interact with people. I don't want this life. I want to go to school around the corner, or whatever the case may be. I always looked at it like, man, I can't do this. I felt like I couldn't survive in this type of environment, or I couldn't make it through. So, and that's difficult for any parent to hear, obviously. So, what my mom has always done, and what she would tell me is, don't look at life like, but they're doing this and they have this, and don't look at life like, oh, look at what other people are doing. Always look at life like, I don't care what other people are doing. I'm going to do me, and I'm going to be me in any scenario, in any situation. So when something happens to you, don't look at the people and don't try to justify their actions. Look at yourself and go, okay, what can I learn from this scenario? So in that environment, which was predominantly all white, where I grew up was predominantly all black. So in that environment, I had to start learning how to interact with people from other cultures, interact with white people. Roswell wasn't all white people. There were other people there, but I had to learn how to interact with white people mostly, and then other people of different nationalities. So because of that upbringing, and where I hated it, and where I thought I couldn't make it, and where I thought like, it was just going to get worse and worse, I had to learn quickly at a young age how to interact with different kind of people. That's how, like, now when I go out, or now my friends group is all kind of people. I don't have one kind of person in my circle. I got people all over. Then I started traveling when I got older, and it was easier for me to communicate with people. It was easier for me to look at people and, I see their biases. Like, it was easy for me to understand that not everyone had that type of upbringing. Not everyone was surrounded by, other kind of people. So that taught me at a young age that I was gifted with the lessons that people are going to be different from you. They're going to think different from you. They're going to look at you differently than your mother would look at you, than your friends, than you. So, it's because of those type of things where I was in situations where I didn't think I could make it, or I didn't think I could survive, that I learned that I sure enough could. Right. And that's dope. Like, I appreciate that things. Yo, I always say I'm never going back to the hood, because that's true. Like I'm not doing that. But I love it. like real talk is like, I wouldn't change anything for how I grew up. I wouldn't change any of that. Like honestly, like, some of my best days, or times where I was very appreciative, is when I had nothing, when I was broke, or when I was in the hood, or when I didn't have the experiences. I was naive to how the world worked, but I appreciated my upbringing. I appreciated everything. I do appreciate everything. Today, now, I'm not in that environment no more, and sometimes I go out and I be like, man, in the hood we wouldn't do this, or in the hood, like, that ain't cool, whatever the case may be. But I don't look at it like, it's I still am happy where I'm at, right? Like, that's why I say I wouldn't go back, or I wouldn't change anything. Like, I'm extremely happy and grateful for every single scenario and situation. Every single one. Like, I can't think of one where I would, tell somebody, or think of a day where I would tell somebody like, dang, I wish I wasn't here. When I quit my job, and if this is your first time listening to me, I started my own business called Kingcayne Creative. When I quit my job, I was in tech for 6 years. I was making a decent amount of money. I was making $140,000 a year. So a very decent amount of money. You know, I was miserable in this situation, right? Like really, really miserable. But and I know that sounds crazy. If someone's like, "Yo, you was making what? And you was what?" I know that sounds wild, but I was though. That's the truth. Like I really was. And you know, I don't look at it like, dang, like why did I, you know, why did I, you know, why didn't I stay or why would I leave that money? Now I look at it like, all right, because I was miserable, I learned what didn't satisfy me. I learned where I need to be better or how I need to interact or what type of environment I need to be. I learned how to do business better. I just got better as an individual, as a person. And it wasn't the money. It was the fact that I was going through something terrible, right? The money didn't make me better. It was the environment that I hated that made me better. So ironic, man. But that's how life is. Like every single scenario. You know, I was in a heated discussion not too long ago, and you know, a few days ago, and I called my sister. And whenever I'm upset, I try not to like go off on somebody. I would back in the day, like you know, I said I was from the hood, but you know, I didn't. And this particular day, I called my sister, and I was just like, "Yo, like I'm about to go off, son. Like, like yo, you about to bring it out of me." And she just told me, she was just like, "Yo, Reek, just think of it like this. Why, you know, why is God putting you in this scenario? What is it that, you know, what words did you hear or what interaction did you just have? What type of interaction did you just have that was meant for you to have? Like, why did this happen?" It's a better way to look at it. You know, when I thought about it, I just calmed down. I was just like, all right, you're right. You're right. Because if I just blow up, right, I get mad and I don't face the challenge with a clear head, then what am I doing? I'm missing out on the very valuable lesson. Very valuable lesson. And that's something, you know, I would tell anybody, like, whatever you do, don't miss out on the lesson at hand. You know, I don't care how, it's not that I don't care, but, you know, I don't want anyone listening to this to ever feel like they can't get through it because the situation is so bad. Don't look at it that way. Yeah, it's bad, but you're going to appreciate that later when you keep pushing, when you keep going. Real talk. Real talk. I mean, you know, I put myself out there and I keep myself open like this, and I tell all my business. It's because it's like, yo, I'm not doing anything special, bro. Like at all. I'm just going through life with you, same time you going through it, same way you going through it, and I'm just trying to, you know, make sure that I'm getting better each day. And if anyone is, you know, going through the journey at the same time, that's all I'm trying to, you know, do is make sure that they understand it too. You know, I ain't no different, man. I go through stuff just like you go through stuff, but I'd be doing myself and people who I talk to a disservice if I told them that their scenario is the worst thing ever and you'll never get through it. That's not the case, man. If it was the case, I wouldn't be here right now talking about it so openly, right? I wouldn't even be talking about it at all because I still would let my situation have control over my life. I still would let those terrible lessons, days, environments have control over me. People. And you can't do that. That's one thing you can't do is let these people have control over you or situations have control over you. That's why you got to do what I did. Step away, call somebody, talk to somebody who is, you know, who's on your side, who's got your back. Hit them up and just be like, yo, I got to talk for a second, you know, let them calm you down. And then when they calm you down, you know, keep that thought in your head. Like, okay, there's a blessing in every lesson. I'm going through this scenario for a reason. I need to figure out what is it that I can take away from this scenario, not what can this scenario take away from me. And that's real. Don't let anything, I don't care what it is, person, human being, a situation, a circumstance, you cannot let any of that, deter you from progressing, from moving forward, from, getting better at all. Because if you do, like I said, you will probably not know they had emotes in here. You will become trapped in your circumstance, and that's not where we are supposed to be. We're not supposed to be trapped in a scenario. We're supposed to get better each day, and every single day provides a lesson. So every single day provides a blessing. That's the truth. That's the concept. That's the word. I didn't know this was going to be short, but I think that's very clear. I think it makes sense. I got some stuff to do today, so I hope you guys enjoyed.